Who's the top guy in the club for fishing every day? Fishinfrank.
Hey guys, how y'all doing out there? Fishin' Frank, myself, and the owner of Fishin' Frank's Bait and Tackle in Port Charlotte, Florida. Next to me is Robert. He's been with me 27 years, 28.
I think it's 28 years in May.
28 years. Yay. Robert, who you find in the store most of the time now. We're in Port Charlotte in the Bear Furniture Plaza right behind ABC Liquor. And there's no sign up right now because they're repainting and finishing the building. And it's staggering how many regular customers walk right by the door. Had a guy walk all the way down to Westchester, and he had just bought a rod and reel. And he wanted line. He says, I want to get line on it. So he left the store, goes out front, and walks out to his car, then comes back, and I could see him looking up the sign, and he went, and I thought, well, maybe he's going down, Westchester Gold to see what's going on down there.
Right, or maybe he wants some soup from the soup jungle.
Yeah, soup jungle, whatever. I wasn't, and then he comes walking all the way back up, and he looks at me and goes, is the bait shop here? And I said, right here. It's like, oh, goodness.
Now, you having seen the whole thing, what you should have said was bait shop. There was a bait shop here about 15 years ago, but
you can't get there from here. So anyway, and there's been a little speculation that I just got together with Josh and decided to do this and didn't really know him and was unaware. We were just talking. Josh has been working with me since 2010. Possibly 2009, but I think it was 2010. So that's 16 years.
Right. So children who were born around the time that we started working together are now out there driving legally.
Yes.
So
no, they're not. They don't have licenses yet.
Yeah, they don't get their license until like
possibly.
24, 30. Good God, I had my license literally 2 weeks after I turned 16.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Couldn't
That was
wait.
freedom.
But you didn't have a phone and a computer you could play games on all day and all night. I think that's the biggest difference. People don't want to leave the house. And mom and dad's, got this cozy little spot that I can just, their bedroom becomes, it's mine. No, it's not. Get out. But anyway, so just so you're wondering, I knew what I was getting into for the last 15, 16 years when I decided to partner up with Josh.
Actually, I think that's the other way that I knew what I was getting into. So let's be clear about this. Who knew who was getting into what?
Just so you know, this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. This was well thought out and, a decade and a half of hanging out. So this, just so you guys understand, because some people think that, and Josh is one of the nicest people I know. He's very nice. He's big-hearted, all that. Look at him. See? So a little contrary at times, and
no, I'm not.
Overly scientific at other times. Clinical
that one I'll own.
Would be a word, but all around pretty damn good guy.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm enough of a jerk that two jerks in the same spot would not be
it never
appropriate.
Works.
So anyway, there's just been a little speculation that, well, do you know Josh and all this? Long time we've known each other, and we continue to work together. So
absolutely. But this is why Frank, when we have to work together, relies on his emotional support real frequently.
Yes. So. My Quantum Cabo emotional support reel. But I think it's time to change my Quantum Cabo in for a pair of flying fishermen.
Ah, okay.
And
let's do that then. Because this is supposed to be the place-by-place fishing report.
Yes.
And so far we haven't talked about any places or any fishing.
No, but I wanted to get that cleared up. just so people would understand, because I've had a couple people ask me, and I'm like, really? I mean, I've known this guy for,
That
forever.
didn't come across? Yeah.
What's that?
It didn't come across, apparently.
No, I guess it doesn't come across that we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
So, but now I have my flying fisherman, and I feel comfortable and relaxed after playing with my quantum cabo. And I'm not sure. I still sometimes like the benchmark. I don't know why. I just like that benchmark. This is a great reel, and it's the weird part about it is, feels nicer now than when we first brought it in.
Well, you broke it in a little.
Broke it in a little.
Yeah.
And for young people, they think, oh, you're breaking it. No, people from my age, the geriatric group. When we bought something, you had to use it for a while, and it would get broken in and get smoother and better before it would ever start wearing out. And that's the mark of a well-made machine. That little tight when you start out, then gets that kind of sweet spot for a while.
Yeah.
Where modern reels are more, you just start wearing them out the minute you get them.
Now, of course, I don't get the same enjoyment because you're hogging the Quantum Cabo emotional support reel. So that's okay. But I got myself a different piece of emotional support here. I have my emotional support DeWalt power drill. So
your emotional support DeWalt power drill?
Yep. Smell the ozone.
Smell the ozone. I didn't say it's been 16 years of smooth sailing. It has 16 years of interesting moments.
Come on, let's beam you in.
Robert?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just making sure you're there. You're okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Let's get him out of here.
I
Get him
just
into
sit
this
between
shot.
the banter.
Okay.
All right.
It's not an emotional
in there.
support stool, but it is a butt support stool.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Place-by-place fishing report, beginning as always with the Peace River, Harbor Heights, and Upriver, along with Shell Creek.
Okay. So we've had a lot of rain,
Yeah.
and it got really cloudy up there yesterday from what I was told by Jack, your neighbor,
Yeah.
and one other guy that was up there fishing last night. So with 2 inches of rain pouring out, you're starting to see it cloud up just a little bit. It'll probably be temporary, but it was enough rain to make things a little murky.
The weird part people don't realize is, Josh, can you go and show us like Port Charlotte and Arcadia?
So let's see here now. There's
Yeah.
Arcadia.
Okay. This is
Port
about 30
Charlotte.
miles from Arcadia down to here. When it rains in this area, it doesn't affect much. But when it rains from Arcadia up, and the Peace River goes all the way to I-4. It's 100 and some miles long. I don't know. Can you zoom out enough to see I-4?
Well, I'm following the river up. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Up
It goes
she goes.
way up. That's Hancock Lake. That's the headwaters.
Yeah.
So I-4 should be right here somewhere.
So let's look at that whole area.
Is that I-4 there?
And that's I-4 there above Hancock Lake, above the lake that you're looking at.
Okay. Somewhere or another on I-4, there's a
A sign for the Peace River that you
Peace
go
River.
across.
Yeah.
But
So-
you can see the corridor that it follows down here along with 17 that basically follows it on down.
So people think when they get here, they're going, up to like Harbor Heights, they're way upriver. Well, that's that much, and this is this much. So in order to get fresh water, you've got to go way up into here. It's way up the river. It's about 12 miles up. So it takes you quite a ways up to see fresh water on a year-round basis. So, but plenty of redfish, plenty of a little bit of jacks, a lot of snook, even a legal one caught last night. A nice one, just over 30 inches. But good fishing up through here.
Yeah.
You heard about anything else?
I've been hearing a lot about the redfish out there, and then some of the smaller mangrove snapper, and up by Shell Creek, the mangrove snapper, and the Mayan cichlids, and a couple of tilapia.
Yeah, because all the way, there's been redfish at Liverpool up here. little bit down by the power lines, although they're thinning out there. But just pitching along these deep corners, you can find some fish. And the inside corners are real shallow, very shallow. But there are creeks and pockets where the fish hang out in these little areas. You don't really need to cast the whole shoreline. Look for a little cut in and cast the sides of that and up into that a little bit. And that holds true for this whole area. You're just working the mouths of all these little cuts and creeks, not trying to like literally work a whole shoreline. The bends here are nice on snook because the snook hang out in these bends and they're still up there. But for as far as the redfish, you're looking for like the mouth of a creek or a little cut going in. And right there at the beginning is where you're going to find them. There's not going to be that many back up inside, although there could be, but it's doubtful. Usually they're right by the mouth.
There you go.
I-75, we got anything?
A lot of little redfish and a couple legal redfish over there, especially on the northbound side of the bridge.
Yeah, this northern edge up here.
There are some black drums starting to stage up there, too, around the whole bridge pilings.
What I like here, see this indent? You've got the main water body. You come up underneath here. You've got a channel that comes up. You go through the wooden bumpers and then slow no wake from here all the way up to the bridge. But this back section, there's a manatee sign sits right here. That's what tells you where that deep water is. In order to get the barge to put the slow speed sign there, there had to be deeper water. So it's not on these bars. These are all underwater. You can't, there's anywhere from inches to 2 feet of water on them, depending on the time of year. But there's a manatee sign sits right here. Now, when you come under, this area here really is kind of unusual because fish that come through kind of get trapped up and pocketed in here. So occasionally the fishing's really good around that sign. Just remember, this is slow no wake. And I don't care if you follow the law. That I don't work for FWC. But if you don't know where you're going, it's just as easy to end up here in 10 inches of water as it is to end up in 4 feet over here or 6 feet. So be careful with that. On this side, you got some whiting hanging out down around here. A little late in the season for them, but there's been a couple caught and a little bit of black drum on the ends of the bridges.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm starting to hear of groups of 1s, 2s, and 6s.
Yeah.
But like scattered. So it's starting to, overall everywhere is starting to really get that springtime feel.
Yeah, everything's just going crazy. Going down to 41.
41, same thing with the black drum. They're seeing them staging up down there. One guy took a picture from above and had several hundred black drum moving in little groups and patches along the whole thing.
Wow.
They were only there for a little bit because several people went to look for them and nothing.
What's amazing is this bridge hadn't held black drum for several years.
Oh, yeah.
Last year we had a little bit. This year there's a lot more. So there's hope. Something changed here along the bridge line, and the black drum are coming back. One guy was down here. He was fishing with 20-pound braid, got broke off 2-3 times. He landed some, and then one of the guys came in. He says, "We were catching. We got to find something else. I'm just tired of catching these. It takes so long to reel them in. They're just too big. And is there any other fish around?" I looked at him and said, "Oh, you poor guy.
Yeah,
You're
so tough
catching
to be
fish
you.
that are just too big for you, and they make you tired."
Yeah, go catch
No
some
mercy,
mangrove
no,
snappers.
yeah. I was full of sarcastic comments about after that, but when your complaint to me is not, "Hey, I'm not catching fish," or but I'm catching too many oversized fish. They take too long to reel in. That's so sad.
Tough life.
That's just sad. Oh, poor guy.
Rough. Really rough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really rough.
Do we have anything besides black drum around
There's
the
been a
bridges?
couple of whiting, 2 short cobia, some small snook at night, and then there's been some little juvenile up to 80-pound tarpon down there. But they've been hit or miss on those. They've been there today, and then they're not there for the next 3 days, and they're back again. So, that typical springtime pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh, cool thing is, if you look right behind, let's see, I got to walk way over here. See these pair of sunglasses here and all this, and behind Robert, there's a logo. Can you slide sideways just for a second? See, flying fisherman. There you go. Now you can move back. I gotta change this around to get it up. Official sponsorship there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I like that. Now we got Quantum there. We got Strike King there. We got Luz here. We got DOA. We got American Fishing Wire. We got High Seas. We got Triple Fish. It's starting to work. But yeah, officially now, Flying Fisherman. We got the banner up. So pretty cool. And this guy, if you like furniture made out of barrels, that obarrel.com, he's a nice guy. Really nice guy out of Texas. They make the barrel furniture there. And he threw in a footstool for around the base of my dining room, which is a whiskey barrel. And now I have whiskey barrel chairs, whiskey barrel dining room, and I got a nice metal foot ring that he threw in. I said, I'll throw your banner up there. That's how the banner got there. Always trading favors and, nice people. You want to support nice people. Okay. So anything off the Lashley seawall?
Nothing.
Yeah. A guy came in with a couple kids who had been fishing there, caught a couple little trout and I think a snapper. Right. I want to find out. There's big supports for the power lines that go across. They're right down in here. I want to see if those snook are staging up there. They tend to stage up around that power pole every once in a while. Very careful getting in this side. A lot of rock there was a bridge that ran from here over to Port Charlotte. That was a wooden bridge. And there's still a lot of rock there from that. The last bridge came off of here and went alongside up to Port Charlotte. So this used to be 41 down here. And, but when they knocked that bridge down, they should have saved half of it. That would have been the best fishing pier in the state. It would have been awesome. But Port Charlotte Canals, Robert?
Spring Lake Park first.
Oh.
So Spring Lake at night, they've been getting some small snook, some ladyfish, and right before that rain the other night, it lit up really good. According to one of our customers, he caught like 6 snook, nothing over 25, but caught them all on a paddle tail and one on a topwater. And he also caught some mangrove snapper, a couple of short sheepshead. He's been fishing there a lot. He's his shift changed, so he's been up early in the mornings and getting home a little bit normal hours. But he's got family down from spring break, so he's been kind of burning it at both ends. Another customer got some small snapper right there by the boat ramp, and that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing. People say, oh, you got spring break, like Fort Lauderdale or whatever. I said, no. This is the other side of Florida. Mm-hmm. The craziness goes on over there. Over here, it's people come to see their grandparents. They're going to come and spend a few days or a week with grandma and grandpa and, do a little fishing, maybe go to the beach, but they're not here to get drunk and get crazy and, spend all their money.
Yeah.
They're more normalized. Now you get to the East Coast, that's get drunk and whatever you want to add to that over there.
Yeah.
But over here, it's a much calmer area.
Very.
Now, I think Sarasota gets a little nuts and Fort Myers Beach gets absolutely stupid. But Port Charlotte, no, not so much.
Yeah. We're lucky enough to be far enough away from the water.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
Englewood gets a little busy. It's not Fort Lauderdale nuts, but a lot of people walking the streets. When we get out there, I'll tell you how to get out to it. But it's kind of cool to see young life and people wandering around and going to restaurants and doing all that walking.
Right.
What have we got in the Port Charlotte Canals, Robert?
Once again, a lot of little snook. The black drum are starting to move around a little bit more. We saw the other night in 45 minutes sitting out on the dock picking up plastic out of the canal and stuff. I think counted like 11 different black drum coming by.
Wow.
They were all in singles. I take that back. There was one that was a double. And then some mangrove snapper.
Now, were they going out of the canal or
they were heading out the canal?
Out of the canal.
It was an incoming tide, and they were all going out.
Okay.
And then this morning walking out there, I had only maybe a foot of visibility versus last night there was 3 feet of visibility. So I think that rain finally came down just a little bit like up on the river.
Well, I think it's filling the freshwater canals up, and the dams started to flow the other night.
Right.
So here's 41 going up through here. Now, you see the canals that come through here, and there's a canal that comes down. All these canals, when they cross 41, there's a dam or a weir, something to keep the saltwater on this side and the freshwater on this side. So as that water comes down, it's flowing over a dam or going down through a culvert pipe. Most of them actually have physical dams on them. This is the time of year we've got a good chance of rain on, Sunday or something like that?
Yes, Sunday is supposed to be a rainy day.
All right, get some little white shad tails. Easy to do is either the DOA cal shads or the storm swim shads, but little white tails and usually about a 1/4 ounce jig head, maybe an 1/8 ounce, depending on how close you can get to the dam. Cast right at the falling water and reel immediately because there's not a lot of water there. It's water falling on rocks. So as soon as it hits the falling, you want to cast in, let your lure hit the falling water, come down, and immediately start reeling it back. Nice little twitches on it. That's tarpon, that's snook, and a lot of them. There's a lot of fish like that. As soon as it's going to rain, we've got enough where the water spilled over the dams once. And with this rain, the next time it rains, have your rod sitting there, little white shad tail, head right to the spillways. If you don't know about the spillways, Fishin' Frank's is down here. What you do is when you leave the bait shop, go north on 41, and you're going to see Bob Evans. Make a right turn and get on the access road. Now, when you make a right turn at Bob Evans, you're going to make a left on the access road. Plenty of parking lots all through there. Pull over on the side of the road if there's anybody behind you. Don't pull into a parking spot, just pull off to the side. Let the cars go by, and then when you get up on the bridge, stop and look to your right, and you will see a physical dam. Now, you can go up the access road and see a couple more dams up there, and that's the places I'm talking about. Soon as we get our next rain, right after the rain, just head up there and start casting those white shad tails from 2 inches to 3 inches. Don't want anything big. And 1/4 to 1/8 ounce, depending on how close you are to the dam. If you're further away, you need the 1/4 just to get the distance. But if you can get up there and cast, you should catch yourself tarpon, you should catch snook. Those are the 2 main species you're going to find. You might find a largemouth there too, because sometimes they fall over the dam, get caught in the current.
Always possible. And by the way, I'm looking here at the Peace River gauge up at Arcadia, and it's showing me that it's only standing at 0.78 feet, which is actually down from where it was a week ago. Today, it was at 1.06 feet. So we've actually lost water on the Peace River.
What's the cubic feet a second?
Cubic feet per second. Let me see if I can find that because they've moved all this stuff around. But it looks like we're dealing with pretty much local rainfall here. There we go. There's the cubic feet per second. And we are down to 90.
90 cubic feet per
90.
second?
We were at 140 a week ago today.
It takes 500 cubic feet per second to affect salinity in the harbor.
Yeah. So we're nowhere near that.
No, really low water levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to do some fossil hunting up on the river, now would be the time to go.
Yeah. Anywhere where there's banks are real deep, and you say, well, what difference does it make if the banks are deep or not? Well, that's how far down it's already cut. You don't have to dig that dirt out. The river dug it out. So if you got real high banks on the river and you're down here 10 feet, that's 10 feet you don't have to dig to get to where the fossils are. That's why that's important. And you just kind of go along moving stuff around and looking for a little nub or something sticking up. But we find shark's teeth up there, let's see, that big around.
Yeah.
Megalodons.
Reasonably about that size?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you find thousands of them.
No, but you can go from itty bitty ones up to literally, several inches.
4.5, 5 inches.
Yeah. Can't believe how many of those burned up in the store.
Right.
We had those big megalodon teeth hung on the walls and stuff. And you wouldn't think they would burn.
Mm-hmm.
They burn.
Yep.
That fire got hot. Burned concrete, so.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
That
We're
looks
at
like
El
Jobean.
El Jobean's been really quiet for the night fishing. I haven't heard much there at night, but in the mornings, there's been some juvenile tarpon showing themselves. A couple guys got some mangrove snapper up to 13 inches. A couple of ladyfish. A couple of very short trout. And was it there? No, never mind. That's down further. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got there. It's just been weird because I didn't have any reports at all this week about any of the snook activity at night. And usually that's kind of now.
Right.
Especially with the rain we've been having.
So I'm just going to make a note here that the snook action should be happening right now.
Right.
So it's always possible that people are just keeping their mouths shut about it.
Yeah, it
They
could
don't
have
want
turned
more-
on because of all the rain. Now they're like, shh,
Yep.
be quiet. Don't let anyone know.
Don't need any more boats down here.
Yeah.
Don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
It's a big secret.
I thought I could look something up quick, but I'll have to save it for next week. Look it up. I know the whole story. I just don't remember the dates well. So next week I'll have some cool stuff about El Jobean. Okay.
In the meantime, we'll just check out the Myakka River from the bridge down to Marker 8.
There's been some ladyfish and some Spanish mackerel sporadically moving through there because there's been some glass minnows moving in and out of there along with some white bait. The white bait that's been up in there has not been very big, but it's been moving in and out. Guy caught a baby bull shark working his way over there by Tippy Canoe. It was about 3 foot. He saw a couple of redfish. My nephew and uncle got out again over there, and they saw a couple redfish. They caught one nice snook about 28 to 29 inches, let it go. They also saw several other bigger snook. Another guy got some trout and some small snook on the north entrance into the Myakka cutoff.
Okay. Hey, Josh,
And he was throwing little topwater poppers.
zoom in on this. Is this landlocked or is there an out for that? I don't see a way out of
Nope,
that.
neither do I.
Is it a water treatment plant or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then. Because I was wondering if there was like houses in there, but water treatment plant, settling pond, sewage treatment, something. Because this is where it comes out. Is you've got water around here. What's right in here? Nothing, I guess. Just a little,
Yeah, not
little more
much.
settling ponds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be neat to find. You'd have to do a probably LiDAR, radar, and a thing. But there used to be a town there. It was down just a little further, but
Are we going out
Cattle
town
Dock.
hunting?
What?
Are we going out town hunting next?
I don't know, but Cattle Dock Point's just down from there, and the pilings I think are gone now in the last floods. But and years ago when I looked it up, McCoy was a town there that was listed on the ghost towns. Is there a road right here? Used to be, yeah. Something there. That was probably a road at one point. Yep. There it goes. Believe that was an old road
Yeah. Looks like it actually goes across
and went across up to that road, which went up.
and then connected up to there.
Just the disturbance in the pattern of the trees tells you there was something there. And it's too straight to be a creek or natural thing. This, just judging from it, that's either a canal or a road, and it's not a canal, so it had to be a road at one point. But that went out here to the cattle docks.
It looks
Where
like
the
it ended
pilings
right
are.
there. So is that where the pilings were sitting? Right out here?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe somewhere right in here, but it was right in here somewhere the pilings were.
Okay. Then I think that checks out.
Yeah. And
All right.
one of these days we got to find the ghost town there. Name of the town was McCoy. And the west wall originally was McCoy Flats, and because that was the town. And it could be buried under all this,
Right.
Gardens of Gulf Cove, South Gulf Cove. I mean, the remnants of the town were probably bulldozed over and all this was put there.
And I don't know where the plans are now, but I think they were planning to develop this whole area up in here.
Yeah.
So
I think part of this is now buffer, but it might not be.
yeah. Well, anyway, moving on to the South Gulf Cove canals.
The only report I got is from right there at the mouth at the locks. A couple guys have been catching some small and legal-sized redfish there.
On the inside or outside?
Both. And then also the one gentleman did catch a legal snook, which is the only legal snook I've heard about this week. He said it was right at 29.5.
Okay.
But it's been super quiet up inside there.
That's, if you zoom in on the locks for a second, Josh. Come on down a bit. Here's where, now, when you're going out, there's rock piles on both sides. Here's that channel that cuts through. There's intermittent rocks on both sides that they thought it would save the channel. Mostly just sunk the rocks, but they're still there. But as you come in, this is where the lock goes in. Right there is where I caught my first snook on a topwater lure. And keep your boat way out. I was using the Mirror 7MR 26, which is white belly, red back. And just popping it out. When you throw up by shore, it's very shallow, and it comes out slowly, then drops off. And those snook lay right along that drop off. And it's fun fishing with a topwater because you're throwing into about this much water. And then it slowly, gradually comes out, and then there's a little drop off, and they lay right along that. So you're pulling it across the shallows, getting their attention, and then as it comes over their head, they come up and get it. It was about a 32-inch snook. First one ever. I'd caught many a snook before that, but first one on topwater lure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I still remember that. It was a good day.
I can't remember my first snook on topwater. I can remember my first snook, but not my topwater one.
I don't remember my first snook. I remember first one on topwaters, but I don't. I've lost it in the fog on where the first snook was.
Any reports from the McCoy Flats, Robert?
Yeah, it's all over the map though. There's some redfish and snook hanging out along all the bushes, and then there's been some incidental little trout and a few pompano on the bar itself. And a couple guys did see some small cobia following a manatee, but a customer was just in there actually just before I walked over here for this. He saw what he's guessing is, it was an 800-pound Jewfish. So let's say 300 pounds. But
where?
On the bar, laying on its side, swimming really slow, like it was hurt. And I said, "Are you sure it wasn't a manatee?" And he's like, "No, it was definitely a Goliath grouper."
Well,
but
like
he said it was in about 4.5 feet of water, just barely under the surface. But it was laying on its side as it was just kind of slowly swimming along.
And I can tell you, the biggest one I ever saw, and I've seen big Goliath grouper. Mm-hmm. This one, literally, how big was the one you caught? 400.
Yeah.
This was easily double that size. Maybe not weight, but double that size.
Right.
And that was up at I-75.
Right.
So, I'm guessing that one's somewhere between 600 and 800 pounds when I saw there. It was literally a Volkswagen coming at me underwater. But the thought that I've never seen one do that, but I've seen a lot of fish go into the shallows looking for different food.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I've seen videos of them like out there by the phosphate dock and some of the canals where when the bait gets the small fry goes along the shoreline and they'll swim up and turn on their sides and pop at it.
Yeah.
So
I don't doubt him.
See it, but I just question the 8 foot and 800 pound kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, other than that,
I doubt him a little bit because 8 feet, 800 pounds, that's definitely manatee territory.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm telling you, the one I saw up at I-75 was easily that big. I mean, I would cautiously guess 600, but my brain was thinking closer to 8.
Yeah. The difference is,
and I just watched the fish swim by. But if I can see it up there, I'm not going to doubt him here.
No.
Okay,
No.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Common sense tells us it's probably not that big, but in the back of my brain going, I saw one that big right at I-75.
Sure.
And if it's up there, that's got to go through 3 feet of water to get to where that was.
Right.
That was a big fish.
Yeah. It's
So,
pretty impressive.
I'm going to say I believe him. You guys can hold your doubts, but I'm going to go right out and go, yeah, I'm going to believe him 8 foot and 800 pounds because that's kind of what I saw. I would have
Good
never
with that?
if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe it. So I don't blame you guys.
Right.
Well, and we're skeptical by nature. So,
Yes.
anything else from West Wall, Robert?
No, sir.
All right, that moves us on to the Cape Hayes Bar.
There's been some Spanish and some ladyfish there and a few bonnetheads. But Flipper has moved back into there, so it's hit or miss.
The one booger about getting warmer water is when it gets cold out, Flipper goes, "Ooh, geez, it's cold. I'm going to the Keys," and they just swim down to the Keys. Mm-hmm. But as soon as it starts warming up, they come back. And dolphins, we call it Flipper because we have dolphin you catch in the Keys that have the same name but radically different fish. But dolphin Flipper up here, people are so cool, they're so neat to see, and they're very inquisitive with humans. Now, when they're in a group, they're always very friendly. But if you see a single dolphin, just one, and he comes up by the boat, don't trust it. Do not trust that dolphin. He might be real nice 1 second, turn around, bite you the next. That's a single that's been kicked out of the pod. So they're irrational. They're not common. But when there's a few of them around, they're always friendly. They're always nice. But they're bored. They can't watch YouTube. They can't, turn on the TV or the radio or read a book. So when you're catching fish, it's a big game for them. Can they take it off the hook? Can they go in and grab it before it gets away from the boat when you release it? And then they'll sit and play catch with it. I mean, literally, you watch one grab him, put his head out of the water, and throw it, and the other one will come up and catch it. So,
yeah. So what I like to do when we have that problem with the dolphins out there is play a different game with them. Instead of playing fish keep away, we play jump in the wake.
Bottle?
No, we play jump in the wake. Okay. And when you play jump in the wake, you just push the boat along, throwing the biggest wake that you can behind you. Tilt the engines up a little bit so you push even more water up and out.
Yeah, about 1,000, 1,400 RPMs.
Yeah, and then you drive away from the place that you wanted to fish, and the dolphins usually will come with you. And then once they've gotten bored of following you around at that speed, they'll leave you alone. And then I drive away, and then I make a loop around, and I go back to where I was fishing. And 3/4 of the time, the dolphin doesn't come back.
Okay.
So
we'll go with that.
just give them something else to do, because you're right. They are bored.
They're just bored. And humans are good entertainments. Unless it's the three of us doing a show, then the entertainment value is minimal, but
we don't really
the
have
information is pretty good.
Not too many dolphins watching this show either, as far as we can tell from the demographic data.
That's one thing.
Nice.
Does it tell us where people watch from?
I would go check right now, but
No, but
I'll get
did you
confused in all the
remember?
other things.
Because otherwise, if you guys could, and I know people ask you to do that to boost their ratings on the algorithm, whatever the thing is. But I'm genuinely curious if you're watching this from out of town or Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Northport. If you're in this area, just put the city. But if you're from out, could you put the state and just go into the comments, hit that and go, put in there. Really curious to where people are watching from, because we get several people a day come in and talk about the show. And so I know people in this area are watching it, but if you're from another area, could you let us know? Just curious.
So the demographic data that I'm looking at right now tells us that 66.7% of our viewers are in Florida.
Okay.
And the others doesn't really tell me where they are. It just tells me that they're
whatever.
not in Florida.
Okay.
It also tells me that internationally, our highest outside of the U.S. is Australia.
Oh. Way to go, Australia. We like you too. We sell a lot of Australian tackle. Yep.
All right. Where the heck were we? Turtle Bay and Bull Bay.
It's kind of weird because when we did our audio podcast before we were doing the video, our number one numbers were in England. And that's what I kind of thought you were going to say. England used to be our biggest out of the country viewers or listeners.
Yeah.
And we had a few in Australia, but it was never much. But now that, and maybe it's the name of the rod. Nomad. Maybe it's because Nomad's telling people, hey, you know, you got these idiots, you know, go watch they were on the game show. And they were so much fun. Nice guys.
They were.
So
Turtle and Bull Bay, they've got a lot of redfish moving around. Snooker, a few guys are actually seeing them starting to stage up a little bit, where they're seeing groups of like
Getting
6
close.
or 7 of them.
Getting close.
There's a whole lot of singles along the whole back. You know, if I was going to go in there looking for snook and redfish, it would be over by the Eagle's Nest, would be my first option area. And then there's also been a lot of small trout through there and some scattered sharks of assorted sizes in both bull and turtle.
Yeah, and you get the sharks coming in. There's so much schooling fish in here. The sharks will come into this area, but they like to come out to the edge and then they'll come back up in. But it's not uncommon to see 8-9 foot shark in 2-3 feet of water back there, sometimes even 12-18 inches.
Right.
And you want to pucker up just for a second. You're sitting there casting and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then you look in the water and the water's like this deep and an 8-foot shark comes by with his fin just out of the water. You're looking at it going, okay, there you are. I'm here. That's good.
Yeah. I've had several people say they've seen some decent ones in there, and like a scene from Jaws, dorsal fin out of the water.
Yeah, you're in the boat. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Oh,
Come
no,
on.
but you've got that momentary thing that, okay, I'm standing here, there's a shark right there, and just for that split second, your primal brain goes, holy crow! You know, it's just, it's in the back of your neck, you know, the hairs stand up. You get that.
It's an amygdala response. That's what it is.
And a what?
Amygdala response. The same thing that when you see a spider or a snake, just gives you that real quick little thing. And then you realize, oh, it's just a spider, no problem.
Oh, yeah. I don't get that from the spiders.
I don't get it from any of them anymore.
Maybe a snake every once in a while, but sharks still bump me up a little bit when I'm not. If I know it's coming, okay. But when I'm just standing there and all of a sudden one goes by, back of the neck.
Only thing that
So
scares me
let's
is
do
people.
amygdala over here, because this is where a lot of snook and redfish over here in Bull Bay, around the Eagles Nest area over here. So where are you thinking, Robert? Bull Bay. And you got anything else?
That's it. Bull Bay is
Okay.
kind of almost a mirror image of Turtle Bay. The sheepshead are starting to thin out. There's a lot of like little guys that people are seeing, like little 6 to 8 inchers cruising around. But it's just the mixed gamut of trout, some good mixture of a lot of small snook, redfish up under the bushes. Actually, I take that back. A guy did catch several baby gags over there in Bull Bay underneath the shacks.
That's cool.
His biggest one, I think he said, was like 14 or 15 inches, but he caught several of them.
Somebody was telling me they caught a bunch of grouper at the reef, and I'm trying to remember if it was this week or last week, you know, for this report or the previous report, but when we get up to the reef, I got to remember.
Yeah, there's been some sporadic reports there.
Okay. And Gasparilla Sound?
Gasparilla Sound's probably the fishiest area right now because you've got a lot of bait that guys are chasing, and so are the fish. So Spanish mackerel are out in that 3 to 10 feet of water. Ladyfish are mixed in with them. An assortment of small sharks, the sharp nose, a couple of black nose, a lot of baby bulls. One guy did say a bigger shark that he guessed was about 7 or 8 foot cruised through the area. And then along the shoreline, redfish and snook. I haven't heard of any big redfish over there. Never big snook either, but a lot of them. Like 14 to 20 inches.
Are they seeing schools or are they
No, they're
mostly
all
singles and
singles.
stuff?
Singles.
Yeah.
And they are seeing some school little groups of like Peter mullet cruising through that area too. Like some of them have been like 50 to 100 fish.
Another thing going on this year is that the school of finger mullet. I know 5 guys who have been out and cast netted finger mullet for bait. Mm-hmm. Now they haven't done that well on it, but it's been several years
easily.
And I think it's because last year was weird with the price of mullet and everything was so bad. But now this year, because of the weather, they couldn't net them. And so there's a lot of mullet hatch this year. And to see schools of finger mullet, which is something we haven't seen in so long,
right?
I'm pretty impressed. I'm hoping that, I've been saying we're due for another cycle with a bunch of fish. And maybe we're getting back into that. Maybe 26 is going to be that year. And 27 hopefully will be a little better.
It's probably been 6 or 8 years since I've seen actual finger mullet.
Yeah.
I've seen the little Peter mullet, the 6 to 8 inchers, but like finger mullet, legitimate, 3 to 4 inches.
Yeah.
Nah, it's been years.
But the thing is, everything that swings up, something else has to swing down. And the thing that I think is actually swinging down this year, and you'll have a better idea here if I'm wrong, is sea trout.
Right.
Haven't been hearing about nearly as many of those fish. And a lot of the places where we typically catch a bunch, you catch them, but you catch a few.
Right.
There's not that many of them around.
Right.
So.
And I think with the lack of white bait on the flats and stuff, they go after the finger mullet and everything, which they would normally go after them anyway. But I think they're more reliant on the finger mullet and knock them back a lot quicker because, trout got to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
But this
anything
year,
else here in the sound, or
no?
Maybe the bad weather keeping the big commercial purse seiners out of the Gulf where they're spawning, and a few less trout can give us more finger mullet, more mullet.
Right.
I'm down with it. Placida?
Okay, so that's got some interesting stuff going on. So they have reinforced the fencing on both sides, on the Boca Grande side and the mainland side, because so many people have been sneaking out on there.
So they're, instead of fixing it, they just fence it off better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way to go, Charlotte.
There's some rumors about them doing something with the Placida trestle, but that's just rumor. But they did reinforce fencing. Well, the problem is they did have a decent fencing, but people have screwed with it, moved it, and broke it, and everything else to go out there and fish.
Yeah.
So my cousin tried to go out there yesterday, and he's like, "Yep, it's really reinforced right now." But from boat wise, there's still a lot of sheepshead there, but they're mostly all small. The mangrove snapper started to pick up a little bit. A few pompano being caught there. Definitely a lot of bonnet heads have been through there. There's been some tarpon off and on moving through there in the daytime and at night. And a whole lot of small snook. And guys are seeing some bigger snook around the trestle and the bridges there at the causeway, but not catching them. And then I had another gentleman who was fishing over by the pass, Gasparilla Pass, and got some Spanish mackerel, a couple of mangrove snapper, a couple of whiting, and he saw a big group of tarpon that came through, and he said it was just so crystal clear. He said it was one of the prettiest things he's ever seen because he's never got to see that before. So the way he was describing it and to see them light up was really, it's always cool when you have people describe their firsts.
Yeah.
And to see several tarpon coming by in clear water, he was like, it's like the stuff you see on TV and this and that. It was cool interaction for a minute there with that.
Yeah, this is a great time to be fishing in Florida because you have enough clear water left that you can actually see fish in the water, and some of our fish are so spectacular. You see a school of 6-foot fish go by. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Or like the big black drum in the schools up there. They're 40 to 60 pounds. Some are bigger. They go up in almost to 80, I think. I don't know, but they get really big.
Yeah.
But even 40 to 60 pound fish, you see 100 of them go by. That's mind blowing. And then catch them on top of that. It's pretty cool. But this is one of the fishiest spots there is. Variety. It could be pompano, could be jacks, could be almost anything going through there at any time right now. All through this corridor here, this has just been nuts for fishing. Whether you're fishing the pier, the deeper water areas, and it goes all the way down. And one side to the other, craziest fishing going on right there right now. Best bet if you've got a little boat and you don't want to head out in the middle of wherever. There's a possibility of small to legal grouper there, Goliath grouper, all kinds of stuff. It is fishy right now.
Yep, definitely. That would be my first choice if I was going out in a boat. That would be the area where I'd be heading to personally.
I think if I had friends down, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. You're not trying to cast under the mangroves and, it's not difficult fishing. It's, luck fishing. You go, did I get a good spot? Did I see some fish there? Did I get lucky and get a good spot? But you're fishing relatively open.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun. There's so many different types of fish. And you scoot underneath the Causeway Bridge when the sun gets real hot. Mm-hmm. It's nice.
All right, up to Lemon Bay.
The only thing I've gotten up in there is a few redfish and a few trout right there in the immediate vicinity of Stump Pass. There's been a lot of guests down that have rented boats and fishing through there, but I think they're more enjoying just boating the river, the intercoastal than
so
anything
blue-green
else.
water
Yeah.
and gorgeous right now. The rain hasn't affected it yet.
Yeah.
So you still got a little time to get out there. And this is postcard Florida. Same with Placida, postcard Florida. That's what you see in the postcards with the crystal blue water and the white beaches and all that. Whether you're at Placida or up in Lemon Bay, it's postcard stuff right now. And there's fish.
Yep.
All right, moving us out into the Gulf.
Into the Gulf. All right. This is interesting. So several guys have broken the law because they didn't know that it was closed. They're catching red grouper right at that 115 to 125 feet of water. The lane snapper started to get better this week because I didn't hear of a lot of grouper, but the guys that did catch grouper were pushing the limits. But the lane snapper in 90 to 100, 105 feet of water, really good. I had one guy that got a 3.5 pound lane, and he said his buddy got a 4-pounder. It was hard to tell in their pictures, but they looked really good for
It's a big
for
lane.
a lane snapper.
Yeah.
I had a guy went out 120 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
10-inch lane snappers.
That was the guy that was in here yesterday. I heard him talking to you. He said
He
it was the most
so
miserable
disgusted. He goes out there and he gets big grouper, big snappers, all this. And the biggest thing they got was like 10, 11-inch lane snappers. And 120 miles, 40, 45 miles out?
Yeah.
There's a ways out there.
Yeah, I've had several people that have had some slow times out there, even in like 80 feet of water, not catching much but little peanuts.
Yeah, and you can do that at 5 to 10 miles out.
Right.
You can, let's see, the Placida, okay, Boca, Mary's right there. You got Novak, Tremblay,
Power Pole.
And there's so many reefs that are right here along the shore that you can catch those snappers with. And to spend all that money and time going out to 120 feet of water.
Yep.
Wow.
That would suck.
Oh, yeah. He said it was a great day. It wasn't too hot. And they had a nice time, but it was a little disappointing. He said those lane snappers tasted good, but they were a little expensive.
Some very expensive lane snapper, yeah. There's a lot of Spanish right off the beaches, too, on every one of those reefs. Like you said, Helen's, Tremblay, Mary's, Novak, Power Pole, Charlotte Rocks. Anywhere within 8 miles of the shoreline, they're getting some Spanish. 2 king mackerel that I've heard about. Well, I take that back 3. I'll get to that one in the next whatever certain spot. But one was just off the tip of Sanibel. Mm-hmm. And another one was caught right there at School Bus, I guess it is.
Okay.
He said he was in like 58, 60 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of guys have seen some kings. And talking to another guy who was drifting the pass looking for tarpon and didn't get any, but got bit off twice on bigger baits.
Huh.
And he's fishing 80-pound fluorocarbon. So I find it a little weird if a Spanish would clip it like it was nothing.
Amberjack or even amberjack don't clip the line like that. That'd be barracuda.
I was thinking barracuda or king Because I've seen some
king
pretty big
mackerel or
kings in
barracuda,
that
but
pass
80's
before.
pretty thick for most kings. You get a 4 or 5 foot barracuda, they won't even notice 80.
Right.
But unless it's like a 30-pound king mackerel, 80's pretty tough.
Right.
Yeah, but it's all about how they get a hold of that bait. So if you're trolling it along, they tend to bite off the tail end. So the way that those kingfish will usually feed is if a bait is swimming along, they come up, they swim up behind it, they get a burst of speed, they bite the tail end off, and then they drop back. So if we're trolling spoons or lures for them, we don't bother with wire most of the time because you don't really need it. They end up hooked at the back end of your lure. So who needs wire? But if you're fishing a natural bait for them, like you're slow trolling a blue runner or something like that, we found that you really have to use wire for them because they don't hit it the same way. They swim up to it, they see it's moving slow, and they just grab the whole thing. So they end up cutting you off. And I disagree that 80 is too heavy for kings. I've seen Spanish cut off 65 like nothing. And that's not a particularly big fish. And they hit it the same way. Those teeth are so sharp. I mean, take a Spanish mackerel out of the cooler and look at how much it takes to cut off, 65-pound fluorocarbon line. And it's not much. It's not quite the same as the demonstration of stretched tight braid up against a scissors blade, but it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to cut those things through. Those teeth are incredible.
I'll agree to a certain extent. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of with that.
I'm just going to move on to the next spot.
There you go.
I'm
Okay, well then
tired
do that.
and I'm just achy today. My legs,
Right.
my back.
All right.
Understand.
Okay. Well, I grabbed the wrong thing here, so
What'd you do that for?
I don't know, stupidity. There we go.
Going to
the right
Venice?
thing. Yep, going up to Venice.
All right. There's
There
where
we
your
got the
next
jetties.
kingfish was at.
At the pier?
Yeah. I had a guy catch a 25-pounder off the pier the other day.
Wow. Sharkies?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Well,
Yeah.
it does stick out there a little bit.
And there's a lot of Spanish all around it. And a gentleman that was telling me about the 25-pounder, he didn't catch it. He watched the guy catch it, and they were weighing it and all stoked and excited. But he said there was a bunch of bait from little tiny, like 1-inch fry in little groups. And then he said that around the pier in every direction he looked was bait that he said was about 2 to 3 inches long. And it was in like little pockets. He didn't know whether it was white bait or Spanish sardines or whatever, but he said it was like distinct clouds of bait scattered around the whole pier for as far as you could see. And the Spanish were blowing up on them. A couple sharks they saw standing up on the pier, all small stuff. They saw some snook down along the surf line and under the pilings. He saw a couple of bigger fish that could have been either big Spanish or kings coming through. He said it was just kind of a really neat feeding frenzy in just a blow up here and then 2 minutes later blow up over on the other side. He said it was going
One
off
of those
that
cool
day.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he said the king was the coolest thing because he's never seen a king mackerel before. So he was
A
excited
lot
to
of
see
teeth.
that with a guy.
Yep. Very different when they get larger because they can get so much bigger than the Spanish that the teeth take on a whole new perspective. When they're smaller, like the size, 18, 20 inches, they kind of remind you more of a Spanish. But once they get up a little bit bigger, that whole I can cut your finger off thing comes,
Yeah,
comes in.
they're intimidating looking when they get bigger, without a doubt.
Yep. Anything from the jetties, Robert?
Some Spanish mackerel and a couple of whiting. The sheepshead have really thinned out up there. I have not heard much at all from there. My cousin was actually going to go there today because he's got friends in town. They're going to try up there since they changed some things in other spots that we'll get to here in a minute.
Okay. So sheepshead reports have dried up. Listen, we told them it was coming, so
Yeah.
Well, it's just like a few weeks ago. There was no redfish in the report because there was no redfish.
Right.
People say, how come you don't talk about redfish? Because they weren't there.
Right.
And we talk about what's there, not
it's
what
hard
we
to
would.
discuss the non-existent.
Yeah.
We're not going to make it up just to appease one person. I'm sorry. We got to make this right for everybody. So it's if you don't hear about a report on it, not going to mention it.
All right. Anything from Punta Gorda?
No.
Okay. No reports there since the 5th of December. I'm going to stop asking one of these days.
Yep.
Redfish Pass?
Nothing yet. That's going to
Nothing.
start getting better soon.
At Redfish. Okay. So, but I should keep that one, even though I haven't had any reports there since the 19th of December?
Well, that's the time of year, just like redfish.
Right.
Some things happen at certain times.
I'm just asking the
Settle
question.
down over there.
You settle down. Don't get my emotional support drill. Captiva Pass, anything over there?
Yes, Spanish mackerel have been
Okay.
in and out of there really good. A couple guys got some mangrove snapper through there and a few whiting and several baby gag grouper. He was actually over there looking to see if maybe the tarpon had showed up in there since they've been in and out of Boca. So he was kind of eyeballing it and just played around there.
Here's your official American Fishing Wire crimper emotional support tool.
This is for Robert. I already have an emotional support tool.
No,
I've got enough
you're going to
emotional
use the
support tools.
AFW American Fishing Wire crimping tool as your most, because now you can put that through, and when life gets really thick, grab a part of your body and kind of crush it a little
My
bit.
own body?
Of course.
Just forget it. I'm not doing that. It's crazy.
Like put your little toe in there,
Lunatic.
just squeeze a bit, and you'll forget about all your other troubles.
Lunatic.
No, if he does that, get his ear in it and squeezes down on it a bit, he will never think about anything else that's bothering him. That
There you
will
go.
immediately take away all type of emotional insecurity.
I agree with you. That's true. I'm still not.
See, I was right.
Yep.
AFW to the rescue.
Okay. Boca Grande Pass.
Boca Grande Pass.
Boca Grande Pass. So that's had a lot of Spanish mackerel cruising in and out through there. The tarpon have been in and out sporadically.
It's a good place to check for tarpon. I don't know that it's a great place to say, oh, the tarpon are there. But they've been in and out infrequently, but definitely possible.
Yeah.
And we've had
2 days they're there, 5 days they're not. They're there in the morning, they're there in the evening. And it's for very small windows of opportunity.
we had guy came in. I helped him rig up bottom fishing on there, and they did good. Hunter's sister got, 2 or 3 of them?
2.
I don't remember what they were using for bait, but...
I forget what he said. Man, we talked last night about it. I can't
Was it
remember.
shrimp?
Nope. No, I think it was crabs, actually. I think he actually got some crabs out
Yeah,
there.
I think
I think it was crabs.
he was using crabs. But his sister did good. His brother-in-law, 0.
Yep.
But
He probably played it that way.
he probably didn't put a hook on the guy's line,
Yeah.
So
But that's this time of year. You can go out there and might whack them really good. And whack them really good means putting 2 or 3 fish in the air and maybe landing one. That's a good tarpon day. But you might find 0 fish there, because I've had several customers go there this week that couldn't find any.
right.
So it's exciting.
It's not
great,
May yet.
But yeah.
May is the month when you go out there, and whether you're just driving through the pass or you're looking for tarpon, you're going to be going through and see 100 fish blow out of the water, and it's just going to be chaos and just crazy.
Yeah.
But that's May.
And it's not even April yet.
Yeah.
Never mind what the weather has felt like.
Right.
April may start with a lot of that super feeding and frenzy. Let's get together, boy and girl style, in a big party. But May is the month where you see that pretty much every day.
Yeah.
All right, Robert. Mackerel, tarpon, anything else in here?
Some small snapper and some small baby red grouper and gag grouper that guys are catching as incidentals. But other than that, that's it.
Okay. Okie doke. Anywhere in the beaches? Any of the surf spots?
Okay, here's another interesting thing with the beaches. Stay right there at Boca.
Okay.
They renourished the beach out there.
They did.
My cousin went out there yesterday after the Placida attempt. All the rocks are buried,
Yes.
completely buried, and I'm assuming that it's probably buried, if they did it the way they did it the last time, it's buried all the way up to as high as that seawall where the old broken down pier is out front.
Right.
Yes, the old broken down pier is partly buried.
Okay. So you've seen some pictures of it already?
I saw it from the water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they hadn't been out there by land or water in like a week or two.
And we had a guy in, he had was saying he got any sand fleas because he was fishing off the beach with for permit, pompano, and sheephead and all that, which fiddler crabs and sand fleas are great bait for.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't find any. I said, they just renourished the beach, didn't they? And he went, yeah. I said, it'll be a couple years before you see sand fleas again.
Exactly.
I said, it just buries them, and they're back here, and the water's all the way out here. They got to go down and figure out where the water is, rebuild colonies. I said, it can take quite a while to get sand fleas back there.
Yeah,
I said, if
so
you go up where they haven't renourished, you can find a lot of sand fleas yet.
Yeah. The other drawback to the fishing, like up at Blind Pass, I've had a couple people tell me about Blind Pass Park. There's so many tourists, spring breakers, and just people enjoying the nice weather that the fishing has been tough. You know, you get out there.
It's hard to fish when you got a
hour.
crowd of people swimming and waiting, and because you don't want to hurt anybody, and you want to.
But even when you intentionally sit a long ways away from them, they still try
They're
to
gonna
come over
all
to
walk
you.
up to you. Oh, what's he doing? And they're gonna walk up, and then they go in the water, and then they're going, "How can you fish while we're in the water?" Well, because you weren't here. You were 300 yards down that way.
Yeah, I was here 3 hours before you even thought about getting out of bed today.
So that's the right time to be out there, though, then, is early in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, as early as you can. But it's
Try and avoid
still
the beach
lots
crowd.
of people.
Because once spring breaks over, what is that? This week it's over?
No, it still goes on for another 2 weeks nationwide.
Okay, so
It
it'll be
usually
another
finishes
couple
that
weeks,
first or
and
second week of April.
beach will thin right out. You can go back to fishing, and you won't be bothering anybody. They won't be bothering you. But it's just,
It's
sometimes that's what you got
4
to
to
do.
6 week period where it gets frustrating. But after that, if we're lucky, we're lucky enough to live here, you just deal with those little moments and move on and go. It's going to get better.
And mostly the intercoastal side does not have the number of people that the beach side does.
Right.
People don't come to look at the intercoastal, they come to look at the Gulf. So, and they're bored, so they just want to walk around and see something. What are you doing? Oh, I'm jackhammering a sidewalk.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing? Taking gliding lessons. Next year I want to try for the aerodrome.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to Matlacha.
Matlacha, I got several reports from down there.
Cool.
So from the bridge itself, they're getting still the sheepshead are getting less and smaller. A couple of guys caught a couple trout off of there. A whole lot of puffer fish. But John, my friend that lives down there, he's been fishing a lot. A couple days this past week, and he went from Smokehouse Bay over to the Cape Coral Canals down to south of Matlacha. I forget the
St.
area
James.
down. He went not quite that far because he was kayak fishing.
Okay.
But there's a bay or a little island down there, and I remember the name, and I can't off the top of my head. But either way, he's getting trout. He got a trout up to 23 inches.
Is it McCardle Island?
Nope, that doesn't sound right at all.
Okay.
It's that was on the Pine Island Sound side, or was it on the Matlacha
It
side?
was on the Matlacha side.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just south of, he said it was about...
You're too far south, Josh. He's in a kayak.
He paddled about a half hour south of Matlacha.
Somewhere right in there.
Yeah, that would be right about in there. Lumpkin Island?
That might be right.
Okay.
He might have a different name for it, but he said he paddled for about a half hour south of there.
That'd be about there, yeah.
But he saw a bunch of nice snook. Couldn't get any of the big ones. He had one fallow, his artificial. He was throwing soft plastics. He said it was well over the 36-inch mark, but he said it was just nice to see it just come and turn on his bait. He saw a lemon shark, which he was very surprised by because he's used to seeing a lot of baby bulls up in there, but he saw a lemon shark about 4.5 feet long. He saw another bull shark about 6 feet long. Caught several redfish. The biggest one was 22 inches. What else did he get into? He had something else, but he's got a tournament this weekend, a kayak tournament that he'll be fishing down there, and I think it's St. James City area, but he was fishing through that whole area because he doesn't mind paddling 5-8 miles. He just enjoys it.
Yeah, I'd die.
Yeah, so would I. I'm good for about the end of my canal, maybe.
I'd be dead.
Depends on how my back feels at the end of after half of that.
Oh, I wouldn't walk for a month, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to worry about it. I'd be dead.
Yeah.
The neat thing about this area down here is it's crazy amounts of shallow water.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. And when you're up north from Bokeelia north up through the harbor, if you run aground, it's sand, it's mud, it's something like that. Down here, you're liable to hit an oyster bar. You could hit rock. This, not boater friendly. You got to know where you're going. And if you don't know where you are, go very slow. Very slow.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, I've been going along there doing 20 miles an hour and look in front of me and I see the water just dimpling a little bit like that. Going, oh no! Hit the trim on the motor as hard as I can, full throttle, and try and jump over it with the boat. I was successful once, unsuccessful twice. So, yeah. And it's a booger getting a boat off when the engine's sitting up on a bar.
Yeah.
That, I was a lot younger and a lot stronger back then. I wouldn't do it now, but back then, it was a challenge. Scuffed the bottom of the boat up pretty good, but other than that.
But now, you would die.
Trying to push that off,
So-
I'd absolutely died. I would have a heart attack right on the spot. There'd be a stroke, heart attack, no.
Did you hear what happened to Fish and Frank? He tried to push a boat. He died.
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep you out of that kind of trouble.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? He actually wants me around. See? I have.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, I got to go
I
up
have
there on the
proof.
green screen.
You have what?
Otherwise, I have to go up there on the green screen. I don't want to do that.
I said we got to get you up here one day.
Pine Island Sound.
There's a pretty good mixed barrage down there. The Spanish mackerel are scattered throughout the whole area down there. They're getting trout, but they're thinning out. The only place I heard of any decent trout was right there by Patricio and Mondongo.
Uh-huh.
And then over towards Jug Creek because there's a bunch of little bait over there around Jug Creek. So the trout and the Spanish have followed in there too. And there's been some redfish down there towards the Captiva rocks. But I didn't hear any snook. I didn't hear anything else really to speak of down there. But there's also a tournament this weekend, supposedly like a inches tournament with snook, redfish, and trout. So several
I
guys
heard
have
about that.
Several guys have gotten kind of tight-lipped this week about that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yep.
I think that's why I haven't heard
They give them
much
the
for down
rulers and they're taking pictures on the boat, total length of so many fish.
there. Yeah. Your best 3 fish or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay. Jug Creek, Shoal, and Bokeelia.
Some trout and Spanish mackerel. And a whole lot of, well, there's actually decent bait there too, but there's a lot of little stuff around it. And several puffer fish because the guy was very upset about his soft plastics the other day.
And
yeah.
it should be a lot of baby grouper. There should be just a wide variety of stuff all around Bokeelia, all through Pine Island Sound. It should be just crazy with fish right now. And we're not hearing reports, and I usually don't go into speculation, but Gasparilla Sound and Pine Island Sound right now, the water's been cold, so it's warming up. Fish are just scattering all through it. And from sharks to regular fish, this is a good time to be in Gasparilla and Gasparilla Sound or Pine Island Sound, because once the summer comes, this is going to be the best fishing around. Doesn't mean that it's going to be great fishing. It just means it's too hot and too fresh up in the harbor, so we have to go here to try and find fish. But right now, it's just plain, really, from here all the way down to the bottom of Pine Island. This is the time to go out there and just find crazy amounts of fish. All different varieties from nearshore to inshore species. This is a good time to give it a try. This next 2 weeks to a month, cooler water temperatures, lots of oxygen, fish crazy active. A month from now, don't know, depending on the weather. But for the next few weeks, good God, give it a try. Because you could have one of those days of your life. Something you remember your entire life out there.
But you can kind of see that summertime thing you're talking about here on this map, where the gradient in color is this water up here is so dark that it's almost black. And this water down here is nice and green. And you see where it starts to shift right about in through here, where we're going from the green up into the black water. And that's your summertime spot that slows way down. And then this is your summertime spot that picks way up. So,
yeah. Whenever there's no rain and you've got nice, when we have rain and very hot temperatures, this is very low oxygen, very fresh water. This is cooler water, so there's more oxygen and there's salt. So you got cool, salty water out here in the summer, hot, fresh water up here. In the winter, it flips. The fishing is very good up here because this is warm, salty water and this is cold, salty water. Right now, this is wonderful temps. This is perfect. Go fish it. I mean, get out in the next week or two because things can change.
Burnt Store and Two Pines.
Well, there's been some snook and redfish along the shorelines over there, but it's been pretty quiet overall for feedback.
We can get to the shorelines?
Yeah.
Can you...
the tides have been really wonky, but
it was really low again yesterday.
By mid-afternoon, it's getting higher.
Yeah. Pull it over to you here just a little bit. All right. From Bokeelia, which is here, but this sandbar, up to Burnt Store Marina, down here to Two Pines. If you make a triangle out of that, that's what I call the Tarpon Triangle, because they usually show up there first, and they stay there till it's one of the last good spots and one of the first good spots. So when the schools of tarpon are showing up, not just a few here and there in the past or whatever, the first schools, this is the area, and they seem to like this triangle area here. And I've noticed it over the years along this sandbar over here, and you've got markers out here which typically hold bait. And so this is one of the good spots if you're going to go out tarpon hunting and you're looking for someplace besides Boca Grande Pass. And if they're not in Boca Grande Pass, come over to the Tarpon Triangle over here, because that's probably where you're going to find them.
Yeah, that's a good area.
All right. Sliding ourselves north, the east side Keys and Pirate Harbor.
That's been really quiet, and I think it's because some of the lower tides in the morning.
Yeah, did something just happen to his mic?
Yeah, something happened to both of our mics, actually. I'm not clear what.
You're still okay, but Robert's nothing.
Yeah, mine went way down.
Just you talk, Robert.
Okay. You know, the east side's been pretty quiet over there, and I think it's because of the super low tides we've been having that just not too many people have been able to get into there. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because even like the guys fishing in Pirate Harbor proper, not saying much. And I don't know what it's about.
Weird.
Yeah.
Alligator Creek?
Alligator Creek's had some small trout and some small jacks in it, but it's been a little quiet up there too. A few guys have gotten some small snook up into Burnt Store Meadows, and they're starting to see some black drum up inside there too, moving around a little bit more.
Where the mouth of this is, in this pocket right here, there's actually better trout fishing in this area out where the creek comes out. Outside of that, in about 5 foot of water all the way around up and through here in this area, and it's kind of just along about 3 to 5 foot of water along this edge. Fish that are coming out of the mouth, feeding up along both sides of it. Not so much out here in the middle, but about 5-6 feet of water on both sides. The trout fishing's better. There's more ladyfish. You're seeing a lot of other stuff. Whereas you get up in the creek, I think the increased boat traffic from whatever the cut is goes into Buckley
Pass.
Okay. With all the people that usually come in and out of Alligator Creek, now you add the people from PGI coming in. The trout fishing is depleted quite a bit here inside. It's not near as good as it used to be. I think it's just because of the boat traffic. But out here on this, trout fishing picked up tremendously. And you've got some nice water for it around here. Just go up into the wind and drift your way out. Just remember, if you're drifting from deep water to shallow water, get your motor down as far as possible. Tuck it in and make sure that if you get into the shallows, your motor catches first and the boat will just swing around. You'll go, okay, turn your motor up, back off. If your motor's up, you go full boat hull onto the shallow sand. Don't want that. Keep your motor down, and that way you can drift from the deeper water right up into the shallows and never have a problem. And your motor holds the whole weight of your boat up. When you go up on plane, think about how much the motor's down in the water and then the boat. So you got your motor here and the boat has to lift up. That motor's supporting the whole thing. So bumping bottom a little bit isn't hurting anything. It'll literally has to hold the weight of the boat as it's being pushed up in the air. So a lot less stress just letting it bump the bottom.
Remember, if you have to push your boat off, you might die.
If it was me, I would.
You might die.
This would start pumping. I mean, I could just thinking about it. Hear that? That's what it sounds like in my head when I start getting exertion going.
All right, Ponce de Leon Park. Anything there, Robert?
Nope.
Okay, that was easy.
It's real easy.
We know people
We've
are
had so many
fishing
spring
there.
breakers that have gone over there with their little kids and stuff, and they're saying they're seeing fish, but they're just not catching any.
Yeah.
You know, a couple small mangrove snapper, but that was it. Like the guy said that him and his kid were there for an hour and a half, and there's just so many people in boat traffic, it just wasn't interesting to them.
These are the last of the peak days for the canals in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. As the water warms up, a lot of these fish will be leaving because this will start getting very hot back in here. PGI holds fish longer because the canals are deeper and they have that cooler water to escape to. Port Charlotte canals are much shallower, and so a lot of those canals they vacate early, as Robert was watching, fish leaving the canal and some of the snook, but you're still in prime time for the PGI fishing. And there's so many fish, and people forget, underneath the docks on some of these canals, there's 80-pound Goliath grouper in there. I mean, some amazing fish can be caught. What do you hear about it, Robert?
A lot of snook being caught right now, both off the lights at night and just slow trolling and casting off their docks. I've heard of a couple of guys having 5-6 fish evenings standing on their docks just casting. They've been getting some mangrove snapper. A couple guys did get some bigger sheepshead, but they're seeing a lot of small sheepshead, and they're seeing the black drum also starting to move around. I did not hear of any tarpon this week, though. Usually we hear about a lot of the juvie tarpon around the lights and stuff. I haven't heard of any of those this week.
I've heard of more tarpon out on the flats.
Yeah.
And I think they're coming out of the canals right now and heading out and working the flats, east side, west side. And I don't really know for sure, but it kind of seems to me they're going to areas where they haven't been able to go because of weather and everything. Mm-hmm. I think it's just feeding trips.
Right.
Or going out to see, hey, is, Mom, Dad, and Uncle Joe coming back yet?
Right.
They could be looking for the schools of tarpon coming in.
Alligator Creek Reef.
That I haven't had any good report on at all. I know a couple guys went over there looking for some Spanish mackerel the other day because their buddy had caught some the day before, but they didn't see any or catch any.
I think I was talking to the other guy because he had a pretty good day on mackerel there. Mm-hmm. He caught like 4 or 5, and
yeah, they said they didn't see any bait, and his buddy said that there was little glass minnows all over it, and the Spanish were there, ladyfish were there, but when they went out there, they got nothing.
And bait moves around. Mm-hmm. So the fish are swimming up and down. If they get over the reef and they find something to feed on, they stay for a little while, then they move on. That's pretty common.
Yeah.
All right. How about the 20-foot holes?
20-foot holes. Haven't had any good reports other than a couple Spanish mackerel with guys cruising around through there looking for the tarpon and looking for Spanish, but it's been very spotty.
The middle hole has been the best out of the three. You got 20-foot hole up here, you got the middle hole here, and then the pirate hole's right out here. But the middle hole, you've got the middle hole here, and then just about 3/4 of a mile, you have the reef right here. So between the reef and that middle hole, that's been holding decent numbers of Spanish mackerel. And if you're trolling the reef, when you get to the south end of the reef, just kind of go off on a 45 to the right, southwest, and you'll come across the 20-foot hole, the middle hole. We call that one the 20-foot hole. It should be north, middle, and south, but it's 20-foot, middle, and Pirate Harbor, because here's Pirate Harbor, and straight out in front of it, right there, that's where the reef is. And the other one's middle hole's here, reef. I call it a reef because we have so many shrimpers work the harbor, big commercial boats that strip this harbor bare and ruin the bottom all the time. But if they find anything in the water, a boat motor, whatever, it's become common to dump it in this deeper hole, and they avoid it with their nets. But they'll tie stuff off to their boat, swing around there, and let it go down in that hole. And it's got all kinds of junk in the bottom of it. I always meant to go diving there to see what was actually down there.
Nope.
Do you think you could still do it, or would you die?
I would probably suffer, but I would do it.
Okay.
I really want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you know what we could do? We could try sending a waterproof camera down there and see if we can see anything.
Yeah, we can do that.
I've got a rig that I rigged up with lights that I really would like to test, so that would be as good a place as any.
I think we ought to do that in the middle hole and just drift across there and see if there's any feature down in there, and then Pirate Harbor hole to see if there's any debris down there. Because years ago, that's where all the shrimpers dumped their debris. And boats, outboard motors, you name it, all kinds of stuff got dropped in there.
Bait fish reports, Robert?
It's scattered, but there's been some at Marker 2. And then a lot down there at Bokeelia, Jug Creek, and Devilfish. And it's mostly white bait. I haven't heard much about pinfish. The little bit of pinfish I've heard about has been off out in the Gulf on the beaches, within a couple miles. And we only got, 5 more weeks of the stone crab traps being out there. So if you want to have some of your summertime bait spots, start marking those areas for looking for some of the squirrelfish and pinfish that you might want for offshore, because May 1st, those stone crab traps come out, and there goes your spot that you knew had gravel and structure to attract those pinfish and squirrelfish. I know.
How many times do we tell them to do that?
Every year.
And how many times do they not do it?
They don't.
Where can I find squirrelfish?
Yep. Exactly.
Right where the stone crab traps were.
Yep.
Well, I don't know where they were.
Nope.
Okay.
Wasn't convenient then. What do I need to remember that for?
I guess. Freshwater?
Freshwater, there's been a lot of guys buying shiners because the bass have really started to perk up. They're on bed and they are off bed. I had a guy in yesterday that hooked. He was so frustrated. He hooked a really good fish and has not failed. And not only was he bummed he didn't land the fish, but he said it was probably a 5 to 6 pound bass. So he felt completely horrible that it had a face full of treble hooks because he caught it on the top water. But he said it was just one of those moments that blew up. He was excited, and then all of a sudden the fish jumps again, and he realizes it's not attached, but neither is his lure. I've had several other guys catch some 3 to 4 pound fish over in the Port Charlotte canals and Northport canals. Everybody's on shiners. We sold out of shiners Sunday or Monday. I think we were out of shiners.
Enough that usually lasts us a week.
Yeah. We usually have a week, and I ordered, I think, 15 pounds more this week. And then several guys went down to Naples and the Everglades to fish for peacocks. Took some of bought a bunch of shiners, and they did good on those down there.
Yeah.
Panfish,
It's hard to
I haven't
find.
heard much about.
Very hard to find freshwater bait on this coast.
Yeah. But there's been no panfish activity. Several guys have been buying some crappie minnows, like our regular guys that always buy them. And they haven't bragged, but they never really do. But no bluegill to speak of, the tilapia or the Mayan cichlids. Just haven't heard much about the little stuff.
Well, the tilapia should be pretty easy right now. They're mostly on the beds, so just pick something out there whenever you see one of those great big bomb craters and a little fish sitting in the middle of it.
I just think there's so many spring breakers down here, grandkids visiting their grandparents, that the Florida bass has more prestige to them catching than anything else. So I think that's why we're doing so well on the shiners and getting more reports on it.
And they're either in pre-spawn or post-spawn. They're either on the beds or getting ready. And when they're getting ready to go on the bed, they feed on bait fish like crazy. The extra oils, all the rest of that stuff. So Rapala shad wraps, Rapala originals, 3D fingerlings, the Nomad little, kind of look like a rattle trap, but they're soft. Any of that stuff, but bring it through the middle of the water column, not down on the bottom. Top water's fine, but middle up is where they're feeding because they're getting in big bunches, getting ready to join up, male and female, and all in big schools, big bunches, going, oh yeah, I like you, you're pretty, okay, you're handsome, let's go together and go do that. So that's what's going on right now, and they're feeding like crazy because they know once they're on the beds, the feeding opportunities slow way down. They got to survive for quite a while.
Right.
Anything on the tarpon report side worth mentioning, Robert?
No. Nope.
Possibility of tarpon in Boca, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's just a possibility because we know people are catching them. It's not everybody, but there are some.
Well, and I know that there have been people out there looking for them because we've driven past it a couple times.
Because everyone's
seen the 20
excited
boats out there floating. So
they've been out there sporadically, but just not
I'm going
enough
to
to
go sit back at the...
yeah, let's beam you back in.
Yeah.
Plus it's so much shift change.
There we
Okay.
go. Okay. Anything else to add to this report?
Not that I can think of. The weather's going to change this weekend. We got wind and some thunderstorms kind of be cranking through, starting tomorrow night?
And
Supposedly.
I'm enjoying the rain. I mean, I like everything's starting to get green. Grass that I would have thought completely dead, crunch on it when you walk over, no moisture anywhere. And the neat thing about Bahia grass is it lays there, and all of a sudden you get a little rain on it, starts going, hey, hi, I'm still here. Yep. It just starts popping up. I got to run the lawnmower over to the lot because there's no grass, but the weeds are now about that tall.
Do you have any resurrection fern on any of your trees?
Resurrection
Fern?
No.
It's a really cool plant. It's native here. It looks like it dies to nothing. It grows on our oak trees. So if you have limbs that are pretty good in diameter, there's a good chance that there's some resurrection fern growing across the top. And when you get in those dry seasons, it just shrivels up. It turns black or brown. It looks like it's just dead foliage sitting on the top of that. And we get this little bit of rain that we've had, and literally over the course of about 3 days, it turns green and just comes back to life.
What's the name of that plant you gave me, that great big thing hanging from the cable?
Staghorn.
Staghorn. Yeah, my staghorn now is probably 7 foot across. It's huge.
Yeah.
I got to get a ladder and get up there and jack it up. When I started off, I couldn't reach the bottom of it reaching up, and I thought, okay, that's going to be pretty good. It's this high over my head now.
So you can't hardly walk under it anymore?
Well, you got the leaves hanging down. But I have a staghorn. I don't know if I have any of the death and resurrection.
Resurrection.
Yes, I don't know if I have any of those.
Cool plant. But it's just always, to me, the sign of...
Is that a vanilla plant?
Winter is really over.
For on the... Yeah. I'm finally going to get that planted this week.
Nice.
Because you plant that by the oak trees, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that'll vine right up it.
All right. So, sorry about that, but plants I do have.
That's okay. We do that sometimes.
Plants I do have.
They're used to us chasing squirrels, I think.
Well, most people, they like plants because they look pretty and all that. If I'm putting all the work into them, I want something back. The vanilla bean, I get it. I can put that up, work at it, take care of it, and I get vanilla beans from it. I have a cinnamon tree. Cut the branch off, I get cinnamon. I've got all different types of fruit trees. I got grapes. I don't mind, putting decorative stuff, but feed me. I'm going to feed you. You take care of me. Two-way street.
I don't think the staghorn really feeds you much.
But he gave that to me, and because, Robert gives you something, you put it up, take care of it.
Gotcha. Now, technically, the Monstera that I gave you, that does grow an edible fruit. The Monstera that I gave you and Terry, that variegated one.
The white one that he gave you. It's got the round leaves.
Oh,
Looks like elephant ears.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's technically
it may have survived.
an edible plant.
It may have survived.
Yeah, we'll see. Last I saw it was in the house. So
upstairs?
Yeah.
Well, then it survives. She takes good care of everything. If it's downstairs where I have to take care of it,
Right, it's a maybe.
50-50. All right. Fishin' Frank here. Yes, old guys, for some reason or other, you hit that age and all of a sudden you have this thing, okay, I'm going to grow stuff in the yard. I don't know what that's about, why it's about, but I do have a caveat. I'll feed you, you feed me. Now, I think I got, 12 or 13 different fruit trees now. I don't know why. Okay.
Yeah, however many you didn't kill, that's how many you have.
Yes, however many I haven't killed yet. But Fishin' Frank, owner of Fishin' Frank's Bait and Tackle, Robert, the big boss at Fishin' Frank's, and Captain Josh Olive, the fish coach. And this was the fishing report.
It has been. So
And
we're gonna
shall
play the
be
music,
again.
And here it goes, starting to kick in.
Endeavoring to persevere
There it shows
to
up.
another.
Yep.
No, you're not allowed an emotional support drill. I just don't like the idea of you and power
I
tools.
think it's a good idea, Frank.
Yeah,
What's
I
the worst
don't
that can happen?
Yeah. Thanks. It's okay.